Beginning, the day my freedom was sold. The day I lost my freedom began like any other on Carvos 9, the mining outpost where human labor was cheap and human lives were cheaper. I was born on Earth, but I had never really lived on Earth. My childhood was spent aboard a transport vessel hauling refugees after the collapse, drifting between overcrowded habitats. My parents died in a reactor leak when I was 9. After that, the galaxy had no place for a boy with no name, no rank, no planetary loyalty. So I became a drifter, then a smuggler, then eventually a slave when a deal went wrong and a bounty hunter dragged me to Carvos 9. I was registered as Unit 47H, property of the Dominion cartel. My name was Jax, but no one called me that anymore. The mines of Carvos 9 were hell carved into rock. Every sunrise, the sky would glow a poisonous green from the oxide storms. Every sunset, the air would hum with the sound of overseer drones delivering their nightly shock rounds to keep workers obedient. We dug for rhodium crystal, the most valuable energy conductor in the outer sectors. It sold for a fortune on the spiral worlds. But for us miners, it only bought more chains. I had long stopped believing in miracles. Believing was dangerous. Hope was a luxury no miner could afford. Until the day she arrived. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Drone patrols paused midair. Overseers froze. Every guard in sight suddenly dropped to a knee. Then the armored convoy came into view, gliding across the cracked ground like a pack of metallic predators. At the center hovered a crystalline litter of shimmering violet glass, and inside it sat the most breathtaking being I had ever seen. Tall, elegant, bright silver skin that shimmered like starlight. Eyes like swirling galaxies. Her presence radiated authority, mystery, and something else, something almost gentle. She was wearing the ceremonial crest of the Aurellian Empire, the wealthiest, most advanced civilization within 50 sectors. It could only be one person. Princess Seraphyne Velastra, first heir to the Aurellian crown. I dropped my pickaxe without realizing it. What in the seven nebulae was a royal princess doing in this wasteland? A hush fell over the camp as the cartel lord himself scurried out of his quarters, bowing so low his forehead nearly hit the dirt. "Your Radiance," he squeaked. "We were not expecting." The princess raised a slender hand. He fell silent instantly, a miracle in itself. "I am here for an acquisition," she said. Her voice was melodic, but carried the unspoken weight of a supernova. Guards scattered to fetch the best slaves, the strongest, the most skilled. They lined us up like livestock. But Seraphyne did not look at them. Her gaze drifted past the trained fighters, the engineered workers, the genetically enhanced brutes. It landed on me. Our eyes met. A spark, faint, confused, electric, passed between us. She stepped closer, her violet robes shimmering like waterfalls of light. "This one," she said softly. "I will take him." The cartel lord blinked. "Your Radiance, that is Unit 47H. He is insignificant. Not worth." Her eyes sharpened. "Are you questioning my judgment?" "And no, Princess. Of course not." Moments later, a data pad was signed, credits transferred, ownership transferred. Just like that, I was no longer a minor. I was hers. Middle, a princess, a prisoner, and a secret. The Aurellian Star-Yacht was unlike anything I'd ever imagined. The walls pulsed with soft golden light. The air smelled like a blend of ozone and starlily blossoms. Holograms danced across the corridors, mapping constellations I had never seen. I didn't know whether to be terrified or grateful. Seraphyne kept her distance at first, watching me with guarded curiosity. I was given clean clothes, real food, a private room with a soft bed, the first I'd slept in since childhood. But I wasn't stupid. Luxuries often came with invisible chains. She finally approached me on the second day of our voyage. I stood awkwardly in the observation chamber as she entered. Outside the panoramic window, a nebula stretched like a cosmic ocean of purple fire. "You've been quiet," she said. I bowed instinctively. I don't know how to speak to royalty. She surprised me with a soft laugh, a sound like stardust falling on glass. "You may speak to me as an equal." Equal. The word felt foreign on my tongue. "Why did you buy me?" I asked. "I'm not strong. I'm not skilled. I'm no one." Seraphyne looked at me for a long moment. "Because," she said gently, "you are the only one not afraid." I swallowed. I was terrified. "Perhaps," she said, "but you still looked at me." Everyone else bowed like I was a weapon. "You are a weapon," I muttered. "Your empire could crush a world." Her smile faded. "That is partly why I am here. Partly why I needed someone who sees me as more than a crown." She motioned for me to sit beside her on the crystal bench. "I'm traveling under pretenses," she said. "My family believes I am conducting diplomatic inspections. In truth, I am investigating a conspiracy." I raised an eyebrow. "A conspiracy in the Aurellian Empire?" "In my own court," she whispered. "Assassination attempts. Sabotage. Someone wants the throne and wants me gone." My blood chilled. "And you think I can help?" I asked. "I know you can," she said firmly. "You survived Carvos 9. You survived life itself. You understand danger in ways my sheltered guards cannot." I stared at her, unsure whether to feel honored or horrified. "Why me?" I asked again, more softly this time. Seraphyne looked away. "Because when I saw you in that line, I saw someone who hadn't given up. Someone who still had a soul." For the first time since childhood, I felt seen. The first attack. 2 nights later, the yacht shuddered violently. The alarm screamed. The lights flickered. Seraphyne burst into the corridor, her robes disheveled. "Jax, stay behind me." "Not a chance," I shouted back. A plasma blast hit the wall inches from my head. I grabbed the fallen guard's blaster and fired blindly. 3 black-armored assassins charged through the smoke. I dove forward, grabbing Seraphine's arm and pulling her behind a support pillar. "Who are they?" I shouted over the rifle fire. "Imperial Shadow operatives," she said, breathless. "They've been hunting me for months." An energy blade sliced across my forearm. I winced, firing back until the soldier fell. I didn't hesitate. I fought like a feral animal defending the only person who had ever valued me. When the final attacker fell, the corridor was silent except for our uneven breaths. Seraphyne knelt beside me, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "You saved my life," she whispered. I was bleeding, shaking, exhausted, but I still managed a weak grin. "You bought it," I said. "Figured I should protect your investment." She didn't laugh. Instead, she touched my cheek. Her skin was warm, almost luminescent. In that moment, I felt something shift, a gravity I couldn't escape. Growing closer. Over the next week, Seraphyne and I traveled from one star system to another, following clues, questioning informants, unraveling threads of betrayal. And with each passing day, we grew closer. Not just physically, though she often stood close enough that her scent filled my lungs, but emotionally. We talked late into the nights about her childhood on the Crystal Throne world, about my life drifting between forgotten colonies, about dreams neither of us ever believed we could have. She confided in me her deepest fears. I confessed to her my darkest memories. At some point, she began sitting beside me instead of across from me. At some point, her hand lingered when she passed me data pads. At some point, I realized I would die for her, without hesitation. And she knew it. The truth behind the betrayal. Everything changed when we reached the Aurellian core worlds. Seraphyne brought me into her private chambers on the capital station, far away from watching eyes. There, she activated a hollow projector displaying encrypted documents, names, transactions, secret communications. At the center of it all was a single signature. Her uncle, Lord Varen Velastra, second in line for the throne. He wants absolute power, Seraphyne said bitterly. And he sees me as an obstacle. I'll stop him, I said instantly. She shook her head. It's not that simple. Accusing him without proof would fracture the empire. We need something undeniable, something he cannot bury. Then we find it. But as we plotted, a sense of dread settled in me. Because the more I understood her world, the more I realized I didn't belong in it. I was a minor, a runaway, a former slave. She was a princess, heir to an empire. The galaxy would never allow someone like me to stand at her side. And yet, she kept looking at me with trust, warmth, something dangerously close to love. I tried to push the thought away, but feelings don't listen to logic. The kidnapping. The attack came at dawn. I woke to the sound of shattering glass and Seraphine's cry. 4 armored soldiers burst into the chamber. Before I could grab my weapon, I was slammed against the wall by a gravity tether. Seraphyne fought. Stars. She fought fiercely, but they overwhelmed her. Her uncle entered calmly behind them, his smile venomous. Niece, he said, you've caused quite enough trouble. Seraphyne glared at him. Varen, you will be executed for treason. He laughed. Not if no one lives to accuse me. He nodded at his men. Dispose of the human. Bring the princess to the throne vault. My blood ran cold. I tore against the gravity tether until my bones felt like they would snap. Seraphyne. I roared as they dragged her away. Her eyes found mine, wide, desperate, and for the first time, I saw fear in them. Jax, she screamed. Don't let him. A guard struck her, and she fell silent. Then they were gone. The final rescue. It took everything I had to escape the gravity tether, bruised ribs, dislocated shoulder, pure adrenaline. But nothing mattered except reaching her. I stole a guard's rifle and sprinted through the palace halls, dodging patrols, blasting drones, leaving a trail of cracked marble and smoking circuitry. I reached the throne vault, a massive chamber of crystal architecture, just as Varen activated the execution protocol. Seraphyne was chained to a grav pillar, energy coils crackling around her. Varen raised a ceremonial blade, its edge humming with lethal resonance. You don't deserve the throne, he growled. You are weak. Compassion is weakness. I stepped into the chamber. No, I snarled. It's what makes her stronger than you ever will be. Varen turned slowly. The slave survives. How quaint. He morphed the blade into a radiant spear. Do you truly believe you can stop me? I fired. He deflected the blast with ease. But while his attention was on me, Seraphyne ripped free a shard of crystal from the grav pillar and hurled it. It struck Varen's arm, causing him to stumble. I charged. He slashed my side. Pain exploded through my ribs, but I tackled him with everything I had. We collided with the central console. Sparks flew. Controls short-circuited. Seraphyne shouted my name. Varen slammed his fist into my jaw, knocking me backward. He raised the spear, and she threw herself between us. No, I screamed. The blade grazed her shoulder. Barely, but her distraction gave me the opening I needed. I grabbed the spear shaft, twisted, and drove the electrified hilt into Varen's chest. He gasped, eyes wide. Then he fell, lifeless. Silence fell over the chamber. Then Seraphyne collapsed. I caught her before she hit the ground, ending her heart, my freedom. Seraphyne survived. Her wound wasn't fatal, just deep. I stayed by her bedside for 2 days, refusing to leave even when the royal physicians insisted. When she finally awoke, her eyes found me instantly. "You came for me," she said weakly. "Always," I whispered. She reached for my hand. "And you killed for me." I swallowed hard. "I'd do it again." She smiled faintly. "Jax, there is something you must know." She sat up slowly, her voice shaking with emotion. "You are not my property. Not anymore. When Varen fell, I dissolved your ownership. You're free. Truly free." I stared at her, stunned. All my life, I had dreamed of freedom, but now it felt empty compared to something else I wanted. "Seraphyne," I said softly, "what if I don't want to leave?" She inhaled sharply. "What if," I continued, "the only freedom I want is the freedom to choose who I stand beside, who I protect, who I care for?" Her eyes glistened. "And who is that?" she whispered. "You." The single word hung between us like a star being born. She touched my cheek gently, her silver skin glowing with warmth. "Then stay," she said. "Not as a servant. Not as a subject." I leaned closer, heartbeat pounding in my ears. "As what?" I whispered. Her lips brushed mine. "As the one I give my heart to." I kissed her, softly at first, then deeper, as though the galaxy itself had faded away. When we finally pulled apart, Seraphyne rested her forehead against mine. "The Empire will not accept this easily," she murmured. I smirked. "Then we'll make them." "And if they try to tear us apart?" she asked. I took her hand, intertwining our fingers. "Let them try." Outside her window, the twin suns of the Aurellian homeworld rose together, casting golden light across her chamber. A new dawn, a new life, a new destiny. Not as a slave, not as a fugitive, not as a nobody, but as the man loved by a princess. And as she leaned into me, whispering my name with a tenderness I had never known, I realized something. This wasn't just freedom. This was home,